Next up in the iceberg, we have the late Bronze Age collapse. All right, so obviously you've probably heard of the Bronze Age, but if you don't know what it was a time period. It was 3300 to 1200 BC. Like the name implies, this was the age that bronze was invented. Bronze offered a sturdier alternative in tools than copper did because they previously had copper, but bronze is an alloy of copper and tin, so it strengthens it with the tin. Now, different parts of the globe experienced the Bronze Age at different times because they discovered bronze at different times, but what was this late age collapse all about? Now, the Bronze Age was actually very prosperous in most areas, especially in the Mediterranean, which is the main place we're going to talk about today. So the sudden collapse of society is pretty surprising. Basically, what happened is that major cities like Troy and Hattusa fell, trade and political relationships fell, writing systems like the Mycenaean Linear B were completely lost to history, and countless wars and internal struggles led to a complete collapse of society. I say Linear B, but we're going to talk about Linear A later. Linear B kind of was discovered, so it's being used to decipher Linear A, which really was lost to history. Scholars say that the most likely culprit for the complete collapse of society during this Bronze Age was a perfect storm of earthquakes and climate change that weakened infrastructure and agriculture. At the same time, strange sea peoples arrived from off the coast of the Mediterranean to try to conquer some of these places like city-states and places like that. So they were trying to conquer lands that were already having political turmoil because of, the collapse of infrastructure, because of climate change and agricultural failures and everything like that. Like I said, all this leads back to climate, but trade was also disrupted. If agriculture was suffering, then they had nothing to trade for bronze, right? Well, some of these societies probably had bronze, but it was very scarce in the Mediterranean area, so they had to trade for it. Specifically, tin was rare in this area, not just bronze, because obviously bronze is man-made, but tin was rare. They didn't have tin mines everywhere around, so they had to trade with other societies. If they didn't have anything to trade for this tin, they couldn't make enough bronze to sustain their tools and weapons and everything like that. So